So I figured I'd give my thoughts, being a Texas Rangers fan, on Josh Hamilton's return with the LA Angels to Arlington, the reception he's got, the mentality of Rangers fans, and just kind of the reaction between both sides. It's been pretty interesting to see how this all has been developed over the last 6 months, with the way last year ended, which was just horribly for the team. A lot of people felt that Josh was kind of loafing it there at the end. He was really not making himself very well liked by fans. Just by he was in a slump at the time. A lot of people felt like he wasn't trying. The infamous him not running up on the ball against Oakland. Things like that really rubbed a lot of people wrong, and it really had both sides leaving on a sour note. And the fact that he decided in December to sign with the Angels, our biggest division rival, didn't help matters at all. So, of course, knowing that the home opener was going to be against the Texas Rangers in Arlington, everyone was looking forward to that. For the news station, I did a story the day before, talking to fans about how they felt about Josh Hamilton. Should he be booed? We talked to the kid over in Fort Worth who started the Silence for Josh campaign, which I think is pretty funny. And so when we keep it to sports, as a Rangers fan, when it's just based purely on sports, was I glad to see Josh strike out and not do so hot these first two games against the Rangers? Yeah, I was. I was jumping up and excited when I was watching the first ball game when Derek Holland struck him out swinging in his first at bat. I had no problem with the boos. I had no problem with the whole mentality because the thing is, on Josh's side, he could have handled this a lot better. I liken a lot of this to LeBron James when he left Cleveland. Now, it's not the same extent because, one, LeBron James is from the area. Also, he is the entire Cleveland Cavaliers team. When LeBron left Cleveland, the Cavs have never been the same since. He took them to the finals. They're constantly in the playoffs. Now they're nothing. With the Texas Rangers, Josh Hamilton was an integral part in bringing the Rangers from mediocrity to a contender. But this team is still a contender even though he's left. That's just a big asset that we lost. But when you look at both those situations, and I wasn't a big fan of when LeBron left, the way he left Cleveland, but how he handled himself during that situation, not the decision. I thought the decision was mishandled, but the way he handled himself going back to Cleveland, when he played Cleveland, anytime he was asked about Cleveland, had a lot of respect, talked about it, talked about his time there, had loved the people there, but really just said he felt this was the best decision for him. I feel like if Josh had done the same thing that LeBron had, I feel like the animosity towards him right now wouldn't be the same. At this point now, LeBron James is no longer that vilified guy. Of course, I took pride in it his first year because the Mavericks beat the Heat in that first round. It was fun to rag on LeBron and stuff like that. But the way he's handled himself as a man, and he hasn't been petty one time. He hasn't made snide remarks about people in Cleveland. At least I haven't heard anything. I don't know how people in Cleveland feel, but on a public stage and public perception of LeBron James, he's a good guy, and I think people will respect him. With Josh Hamilton, it felt like there was a lot of bitterness, and like I said, the relationship ended bitter between him and the fans at the end. But when he asked, of course, the infamous baseball town thing, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So apparently, when he was talking about Arlington, talking about, Texas, and mainly the North Texas region, but really that encompasses, I'm from East Texas, but, this is kind of that DFW sports area of fans of Cowboys, Mavericks, and the Texas Rangers. And he talked about Arlington and the Dallas area not being a baseball town, mentioning on Friday nights when they weren't very good, not many people will be there because of high school football. And I can attest to the fact that growing up here in Texas, that's how it is. High school football is huge here. But I wouldn't, and so I don't disagree, but I felt like it wasn't the right way to say it. Because it wasn't said like, this is a football town. It was, this is not a baseball town. Just because it's a football town doesn't make it not a baseball town. I can tell you from experience, growing up here, the Rangers were pretty awful most of the time I was there. Back in the 90s, we had a stint with when Pudge and Juan and those guys had a run there and got swept by the Yankees. But for the most part, the Rangers have been irrelevant since I've been a fan. And haven't been much of a franchise. But I can tell you from experience, although the stands were not near as packed as they are now, in this area where I live, Rangers fans, they may not have been baseball fans, but everybody was a Rangers fan. And the Rangers have a special place in a lot of people's hearts here in Texas. And so to see them do well has really made a lot of people happy. So, of course, that took a lot of offense to a lot of people. Now, going to the fans and the way they treated Josh. No problem with the boos. No problem with the holding up the newspaper, acting like he's not here. That's all part of sports. That's all part of having fun, and that's what you get when you decide to leave and go to a rival. That being said, I do find it hypocritical of fans who, instead of just booing, were mocking the fact that he's calling him a crackhead, saying, "Go home, you're drunk." That kind of stuff, I find that hypocritical because those struggles that he had coming into Texas, this fan base really embraced that and embraced him, that fight against that. And that's still not lost. No matter what Josh has done or said or whatever, that's over the line because that's a struggle that people have that's on a personal level and something demons he's got to battle. And like I said, I'm a double standard kind of guy. I don't like double standards. I didn't like it when people from other fan bases or weren't Rangers fans would mock Josh because of his struggles when he was with the Rangers. So I'm not going to mock him now that he's with the Angels. I feel that that's low class, and that's Rangers fans are bigger than that. We're not known for that kind of stuff. The ballpark in Arlington is a fun place to go with a passionate fan base, and you're not going to see a bunch of fights and stupid crap like you're going to see at other ballparks in the country. The other things I had a problem with was hearing reports of taunts towards his wife and his family. Come on. I mean, I guess people are just drunk and not thinking, but that doesn't even make any sense. Boo the guy on the field. Boo him. Cheer as loud as you can when he strikes out. I know I did because that's part of the sport of it. That's part of the game of it. That's the business of it, and he knows that. So what I would say to Rangers fans is be better than that. Boo as loud as you can when he comes up to bat. Hold up the newspapers. I think that's great. That stuff is fun. Leave the alcoholism, leave the drug addiction, leave that stuff alone. Because when he was here in Texas, that was one of the things that really ingratiated himself with the fan base, was his fight against that. And to turn that around against him, now that he's with the Angels, doesn't make any sense to me. So my full opinion on this is, I didn't like the way Josh left. I feel like he's been very petty in a lot of this with his comments after the game, saying things like it was louder when they booed him than it was any time in any postseason game, and then he kind of winked at the camera. Those kind of snide remarks really don't jive well with certain fan bases. And maybe he doesn't care, and if that's the case, then that's fine. Like I said, he's with a rival team now. But those are just my thoughts on this whole situation. I still have a lot of faith in this current baseball team. We lost a lot of our power hitting with Josh. We lost the leadership with Mike, and power hitting with Napoli. But I like this squad. I think that Pierzynski's played pretty well early on. I think the pitching, Matt Harrison struggled, but other than that, Darvish in his first outing has been great. Derek Holland's been great. We'll see. I mean, like I said, it's very early, but I'm very confident that this is a team that can continue to compete for a World Series. It's going to be tough, but I mean, they're still in that conversation. So that's kind of my thoughts on everything. What do you guys think? Are you Rangers fans? Let me know, how do fans need to react to Josh? Do you think it's been over the line? Do you think that the boos are okay or whatnot? I mean, let me know. And also, if you're a fan of another team or just a sports fan in general watching this, what are your thoughts on the whole situation? And how should fans react when star players, not that they were traded but decided to leave, come back and play your team? Let me know in the comments below. And I'm hoping the Rangers can keep it up and keep making every season interesting and find a way to make a run in the playoffs like we did 2 years before, not last year. So go Rangers, and we'll see you guys later.